There is a kind of silence that doesn't feel like peace. It presses against your chest. It sits in the corners of a room and waits for you to notice it. I know that silence now. I know it the way you only know something after it has already broken you. It was Thanksgiving. A day built for warmth, for turkey and laughter and the smell of something sweet baking in the oven. A day that's supposed to remind you of everything you have. But what I found when I walked through that front door didn't feel like anything I was supposed to have. It felt like the ground had been pulled from underneath my feet, and no one had bothered to warn me. My name is Claire. And for 11 years, I believed I was married to a good man. Marcus was the kind of person who made everything look easy. He smiled at strangers. He held doors open. He volunteered at the food bank every December and let everyone know it. The neighborhood loved him. My family loved him. I loved him, completely, without question, the way you love someone when you've built your whole life around them. His stepfather, Ronald, had come to live with us 8 months before that Thanksgiving. Ronald was 73 years old, soft-spoken, and sick in a way that couldn't be fixed, stage 4 lung cancer. He had no one else. His wife had passed years ago, and Marcus was his only connection to family. So when his health declined, we brought him home. I brought him home. I learned how to manage his medications, how to help him to the bathroom in the night, how to sit with him in the quiet hours of the morning when the pain made sleep impossible. Marcus said he was grateful. He said he didn't know what he'd do without me. I believed him. That Thanksgiving, I left early in the morning to pick up my mother. She lived 40 minutes away, and the drive there and back was supposed to take no more than 2 hours. When I left, Marcus was home. Ronald was resting. The house was warm. But what I didn't know that day, what I had no I remember standing in that doorway and not understanding what I was seeing. I crossed the room in seconds, filled his water, checked his oxygen, called his palliative care nurse. My hands were shaking but my mind had gone somewhere numb and automatic, the place it goes when it knows that feeling everything at once would be too much to survive. Ronald looked at me and said, very quietly, "He left after you did, Claire. He said he had somewhere to be." He said it without anger. That was the part that cut deepest. Not rage, resignation. As if some part of him had already known this was coming. As if this was not entirely a surprise. I sat with him for the next 3 hours. My mother sat on the other side of his bed and held his hand. We shared a Thanksgiving meal from plastic containers at the kitchen table while the man my husband had abandoned lay 20 feet away. Marcus came home at 9 o'clock that night. He smelled of wine and cologne, and he had the audacity to walk in looking relaxed, like he had simply stepped out for some air. He said he needed space. He said the weight of everything, the sickness, the caregiving, the pressure, had become too much and he just needed one day to breathe. One day to breathe. While his dying stepfather lay alone in a dark room, struggling to swallow water. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I looked at him for a long moment and felt something I can only describe as clarity, a cold, sharp kind of knowing that settles in after the shock has passed. It was as though every uncomfortable thing I had quietly explained away over the years suddenly lined up in front of me and refused to move. The forgotten birthdays. The way he disappeared during hard moments and reappeared when things were easy again. The compliments he gave me in front of people, and the indifference he showed me in private. The caregiving I had absorbed entirely while he walked around our home like a grateful bystander. I had not married a good man. Ronald passed away 6 weeks later. Peacefully in his bed, with me holding his hand. Marcus was not there. He had moved into an apartment 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, after I asked him to leave. He sent a floral arrangement to the funeral. He did not come. The divorce was not dramatic in the way people might expect. There was no explosion, no courtroom battle, no stolen revenge. The consequences came quietly, the way real consequences often do. Marcus had spent years building an image. The devoted husband. The caring stepson. The community man. And one by one, without me doing anything more than telling the truth when people asked, that image began to fall apart. His own family pulled away from him. Damon, who had stayed loyal to a fault, finally said the things he'd been holding for years when Marcus tried to justify leaving Ronald that night. People in our community, people who had admired him, celebrated him, grew cold. Not because I campaigned for it, but because the truth has a way of traveling on its own when it's real enough. I won't pretend it didn't hurt. Watching someone you gave 11 years to unravel is not satisfying in the way you imagine it might be. It's just sad. Sad for the woman you were. Sad for the love you gave that was never quite returned the way you deserved. But here is what I kept, and this is everything. I kept the memory of Ronald's last weeks. The mornings I sat with him. The afternoons I read to him. The night he told me, unprompted, "You are the best thing that ever came from my son's choices." That stayed with me. It still does. I kept my mother's steady presence beside me on that Thanksgiving night. I kept Damon's honesty and the friendship that grew from it. I kept myself. And slowly, carefully, I rebuilt a life that was mine alone. A life where I didn't have to shrink. Where the care I gave didn't go into a void. Where the love I offered was seen. If you are watching this and you recognize something in this story,